you are here now,
yes.
And it's good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
We sincerely appreciate you coming around here this morning. So let's quickly start this way. You talked about, let me pick it up from where I left it off.
Yes.
You talked about Edo selection. According to you, when are we ever going to have an election in Nigeria?
Well, we are not going to have not just an election. We can't have anything right, doing the same thing all over again, the same way, and expecting a different result. And we have seen it all. I've participated in 2 elections.
Of course, yeah.
And I can tell you categorically that Nigeria's leadership is elite. Political elite has reached a point where they do not hold election anymore. And it doesn't matter which level the election is. In fact, the state electoral commissions are even worse.
The state electoral, the CX across
yes,
Nigeria.
They are the worst. Those ones, they don't even pretend. INEC still pretends to hold elections. But of course, these things are predetermined. And I was on a radio show in Ondo State, Akure.
I think I monitored
the day of the election, and I was telling them,
election,
yes, the day before. And I said, look, these guys have made up their mind. The next morning, the day they were announcing the election result, someone was saying, oh, it looks like PDP is going to win. I said, if it is what I know, they have already thought, but they always give room for people to speculate.
They give people hope.
Yes, they give us hope, and it is by noon that the person realized that I was right. They'd already, and if there's something characteristic about the election, which will determine the next off-season election, which is in Ondo State, my state.
Yes.
Majority of the Ondo State people who are going to rig Ondo State election went to Edo State to perfect how they will rig Ondo State election. There are various components to rigging an election.
Okay.
Yes. And one of it is INEC itself, but it also needs the police, security agencies, all of them are in on it. And then there's movement of money. In fact, the money that was used for the election by the APC was flown into Ondo State and then driven by land to Edo State. It was flown into Akure Airport because I was there.
Because I was going to ask you how you got to know all of this.
Yes, because
the money.
The biggest election funding scandal. Where I won't say that's the biggest election money, but the biggest state election funding scandal. I was the one that unraveled it, and it was a Kitty election when Fayose was running, and Obanikoro flew money. The case is in court now.
Okay.
To Korea, I think, and then the amount was staggering. I mean, like they flew an aircraft with cash. And flew it to Ekiti State to rig election for Fayose at that time.
Okay, we'll come back to election matters. Let me ask you one of the questions that I believe that majority of Nigerians, people who are listening to us right now, we have on their mind. And I want to talk about you briefly. Many people view you through different lenses. Some see you as a voice of opposition, others as a passionate activist, while some might label you as a rabble-rouser or even a controversial figure, a controversial journalist. But I would like to ask you, I want you to set the record straight. How do you perceive yourself amidst these varied interpretations? Who is Omoyele Sowore, 209 Nigerian?
I want to answer this with a Yoruba proverb. But I will describe it in English.
Okay.
And they said, if you gather a bunch of blind people to touch an elephant.
Yes, and I think I know that proverb.
They will tell you, depending on where they touch,
it depends
or what animal they think it is. So we will touch some side and said it's a porcupine. Some will touch it and say it's a grass cutter. Some will touch it and says just a lion. So the reason I say so is because it is also part of what I exist for.
Okay.
For people to have the right to perceive me as they like. What I don't do is put myself in a box. In fact, I hate labels. So I don't have any record to set straight. So that means I will accept. I'll be trying to explain who I am. I mean, a person that's involved over almost 40 years.
Because
I don't think needs that much explanation. So, people are entitled to see how they feel.
Because you've been a man of many parts, you got a prominence as a student activist. You came to prominence, and later, the Sahara Reporter thing was thriving very well. There were a lot of controversies around that too. Then you delve into politics too, and you've been doing that. At the same time, you've been in the front line when it comes to opposition in Nigeria. At the same time, you're an activist too.
That's right.
So that is why a lot of people might be confused.
But I think
there's
a consistent definition of what I've done over the years, and that is that I have been largely a political activist. Even as a student, I was
political activist.
Yes. Okay. But I did not take in partisan politics until 2018.
Until 2018,
because I hated it.
I hated it.
Yes. So
what changed? You formed ANC, right?
Yes. What changed is that I got to a point where I tried everything else. You've mentioned direct action. I did media activism like nobody has probably ever done before through Sahara Reporters. And I also was in the diaspora for a long time. I lived in the US. And I came to the conclusion that journalism itself, even the best of it, cannot change society. If good people don't step up to the plate and take control of power. One of the mistakes we made in the late 90s, particularly 1999, was the activist community did not do what most activists do all over the world, get into power. If in 1999 we had organized with a political party and canvassed for votes, people would probably have voted for us over and above several of the people that came to power.
I'm sorry for cutting, but we had some of them who have actually come into politics too. The Ojudus of this world, the Fireys, were they were activists at some point?
Well, now you want to delve into an area that most people don't know. A lot of people came to.
I don't know how you will perceive Adams Oshiomhole at some point.
That's exactly what I want to address.
Okay.
You should listen to it.
I will.
Thanks. A lot of people came into the activism space, and I put quote and unquote, as a result of opportunism. And these people you've mentioned, Oshiomhole, was part of them. As a matter of fact, when I was at the University of Lagos, Oshiomhole and a guy named Pascal Bafia, late now, Pascal was the chairman of the NLC.
Okay.
They were the first set of people that endorsed the annulment of June 12 election. But before the June 12, they were the first set of labor leaders who started accepting negotiation of fuel price. I have with me somewhere, I don't know my phone, a newspaper press conference we did condemning Oshiomhole and Pascal for selling Nigerians out to Babangida during the fuel crisis in the 90s. So you mentioned Fayemi, they were diaspora and activists. They never came to Nigeria. They were just doing whatever they could to make it sound like they were like tough people.
Because what we got that time was that the radio Kudirat all of the thing, it was the brain behind.
How many people do you listen to radio Kudirat, honestly? If it's just a symbolic radio, I listened to it the entire time it existed. I listened to it once. And it was for maybe less than 5 minutes because the signal was very weak. So, because it was a shortwave radio transmission. So, but that's not the issue. The issue is what was the intention. And how you determine the intent was what they did with power as soon as that opportunity came. So, in fact, as of last week, I was in court in Abuja defending myself against Fayemi. They sued me for libel because Sahara Reporters exposed how they stole money meant for the airport in Ekiti. He launched a fake airport.
Yes, he did.
They even got one military aircraft to land there with cell phone. That was it.
So you call it a fake airport?
Well, if it's not fake, you might want to book a ticket to fly there.
Nothing is happening as we speak.
So these are the kind of people that capitalize on the opportunity there was that time and masqueraded as activists. But we were the people on the ground and we're the one doing the heavy lifting. So I know who, if you talk about Fawemi, I will believe you. Talk about Femi Fawemi, you know, Olusegun Mayengo, who was now president at that time. Even in the start, Bakoba, Ayobe, Shima Obani, Bamidele Atu. This ones you can talk about, and I will say, well, you know, you're talking about legit people, you know, people like Uche Oyegocha, who later went to the House of Reps. And this ones are legit. This ones we interface, people like Bekor and some Kuti. Those are legit. But these other fringe elements, you know, I've spoken a lot about Oshomole. He has never debunked my position. Yes.
Because you have your facts.
He knows. He knows. I mean, I've been around for quite some time.
Yeah.
Yes. I know these guys. I know a lot of them. If we're talking about Wale Soyinka, who was not at home at that time. He was at home and then he left. Those ones, you know, they're legit. And, you know, I mean, I still visited him yesterday in Abeokuta.
Well, Comrade Omoyele Sowore, you've been around for a very long time, like you said.
Yes.
And you've got a very strong voice, particularly against the successive Nigerian governments. And your activism has certainly sparked important conversation in the polity. But of course, you talked about the fact that you contested twice. So I want to talk about that right now. Why do you think it's difficult for Nigerians to take people like you serious?
Nigerians take us serious. But the process that produced the leadership in Nigeria has been hijacked and polluted. So it doesn't matter how people take you serious, as long as you're not part of the political circle that rig people into office, nothing can happen. So I've been there before, I've seen it, and there are a lot of people that are in on it. Apart from INEC, the Nigerian security forces are part of it, the conspiracy against Nigerian people, even sometimes the media is part of it. Yes. I remember in this last election, to get the media to allow for interaction between candidates, they were playing games. We were supposed to have a presidential debate in 2018 too. The media group led by John Momo of Channels that determined who could debate removed me because they couldn't get me to commit according to them to behave during the debate. And eventually, the so-called frontliners never appeared in those debates, and they're fine with it. So I'm just giving an example of different positions. But in the U.S., where we imported our democracy from, there must be a debate.
Yeah. And
there was a debate. There are two debates already.
You saw Kamala.
Yes. Trump, and when the debate didn't go the way of Trump, he said that's what to do another debate anymore. But there are two debates already. So these are the opportunities people have to not only demonstrate acceptance, but also to reach out to people about their own ideas. So when you have a political system in which you have removed ideas from the item on the agenda, then we are left with just fluff. And that is why you asked me a question why people don't
because I look at the numbers
but
in the last two elections. I feel like
the numbers you're looking at are not numbers. They are concussions. Yes. And concocted by INEC and a big the political elite. They allocate numbers. You have read it before you reported it. There was a commissioner in Rivers State who came out recently and said, we prepare our results and give to INEC to read. Those things don't matter to you. So these are not new things. These are things we've been talking about. And it's not as if they're new to me. but I participated in these things so that the illusion sometimes that people have that, oh, maybe if you had participated, it would have been different. Same thing they said to Ganifa, you're always creating problems, go and participate. You know. I'm not in any way removing blame from the people too.
Okay.
But don't forget that the weaponization of poverty was aimed at achieving a situation where somebody's conscience cannot play a role in his choice of leadership, such that somebody will give you, you know, a piece of bread and you vote against even your own well-being. So that's a different philosophical conversation. But the simple one that you and I know, honestly, is that numbers are concocted, manipulated, and released to the public based on what you know about what they do to election. That's why I call it selection.
Yeah, but when you look at somebody like Peter Obi,
yes,
former governor of Anambra State, who contested against all odds, he had an impressive showing during the election. Even some of us did not ever envisage, imagine that he would get the number of votes that he got in that particular election. Okay. So what would you say about that?
Did he win?
No, he did not win.
No, because you're making it sound like it's impressive to the point that they got somewhere.
You know, many people say that he will win Lagos.
Huh?
You know, he won Lagos. Even that is Tinubu's backyard.
Do you know why they gave him Lagos?
They gave him. He did not win Lagos.
I'm telling you.
They dashed in Lagos.
They dashed in Lagos because they know they want to go and wait for him in Jigawa. That's where those numbers were concocted. They knew that if they give them Lagos, they'll be celebrating while they are cooking in Jigawa. I think Jigawa and Yobe. Have you asked yourself why, despite the fact that Boko Haram controls almost all the local governments in
Borno State,
the electoral numbers are always the same in every election? Who's voting? What about Yobe? That's ravaged by terrorism. So but when it comes to election, the terrorists will go on vacation and the numbers will come correct. Have you asked yourself those questions? So
those numbers are fabricated.
Even Peter Obi himself knows. That is why when he went to the tribunal, he never pleaded numbers. Yes, he was asking to disqualify Tinubu. He asked for everything but the recounting of the election results. Because, you know why? He knew what he himself did in the southeast.
Peter Obi also did something.
His numbers.
He also did.
Look, we know what
you said. Obi is not different from this political elite.
And the only person within the political contestant who has consistently said Peter Obi is not different from Tinubu or Atiku. I've said it to his face. You know, I've said it to his supporters who believe that nobody can say anything against him. I've consistently said I can never support Peter Obi the same way I can never support Atiku or Tinubu. I never, because it is as if you are walking into a landmine and you convince yourself that if it explodes from the right, it may not kill you. Yeah? And that the one on the left might kill the one at the center, but the one on the right, but you're still walking into a landmine. And look at their policies. They are the same. The removal of fuel subsidy was Peter Obi's policy. In fact, Peter Obi supported some of the most retrogressive policies during the election. Change of Naira notes. He was happy about it. So all the economic policies that were terrible, that was the same economic policies.
But I thought he supported that because he felt that would curb vote buying.
No, because he was convinced that it will help him win the election.
You mean those in power then?
No, Peter Obi himself.
Okay.
Yes.
And some Nigerians will...
Anybody who has sense will know that people who are not spending Naira, if you change the color of the Naira, it will not affect the election fortunes. By the time they changed the Naira, Tinubu already had enough money available to deal with the election. So the changing of the money, he was just laughing at them.
Some Nigerians will have thought.
And when they changed Naira, the first set of people that got the biggest amount of money from was the same political parties, you know, the APC and the PDP, because the federal government was supporting Atiku, that is Buhari and the rest of them. The state governors were supporting Tinubu. Where do you think money goes to first in Nigeria? State governors. That's why wherever they go for FAC, the value of the naira goes down, because they change it to naira, and of course you know what to do with it. So, what else do I need to tell you?
Well, you know, let's move away from the political.
No, don't let us move away.
We're not moving away. But let's talk about some other very important issues about the situation of the country right now. You know, Nigeria obviously apparently is facing significant economic hardship. No one can lie about that, and political instability, if you ask me. So I want to ask you now, yes, you've been very vocal, you've been out there talking about how we must get it right. I want you to tell us something that we don't know, that these individuals who have this opportunity to govern us right now are not doing.
There's nothing I need to tell you. The individuals governing the country have nothing to offer the country.
They have nothing.
They have nothing. And people like me have been saying this for 30 years, but you don't want to listen. And that is why we're where we are today. Are you getting me? So anybody who was under any illusion that a person who governed Lagos State for 8 years, and Lagos State is still one of the most vulnerable states to reign, even though they were making billions of naira in revenue, that he will go to Nigeria and fix it, the person should check their brain. Or anybody, and I go back to Peter Obi now, who will say that the guy that governed the state for 8 years, Anambra State, didn't build a school, is coming to build Nigeria, the person should check their brain. Or anybody who says a person who was vice president of Nigeria for 8 years, who did nothing, was coming to fix the country, the person should check their brain. That's been our position, and we've been vindicated time and time again. Now these guys have nothing to offer you, and that until you change your own political orientation, education, and conscientization, and understand that you have to take a different position and a different approach to gaining or regaining your dignity as people, you're not going to get anywhere. So when we then started revolution now in 2019, that's exactly what we're pointing Nigerians to. But you know what happened? But the good news, well, not the greatest news, is that some 5 years later, everybody is shouting revolution now. In fact, there was a video that was circulating yesterday of a guy who sang revolution song, and everybody shared. It's not new. It's been, I think it was part of Peter Obi's campaign material at that time. But everybody's talking revolution now, because this is what we said in 2019, that this is not going anywhere. People who thought that elections can help them in Edo State last week, they are now shouting revolution too. No, they're not shouting revolution, they're shouting revolution now. So, we'll come full circle. You know, and the time of judgment is here. Both for those who took us where we are, and those
time of judgment.
Yes, and those who have accepted this for too long.
What do you mean by the time of judgment?
Everybody has come to a position where we are all at a standstill and must do something about our situation.
Okay, so that would take me to what happened in August. 10 days of, I call it rage, which you were part of in August. Well, it made a statement, but looked like it lost steam before its climax. Do you think it was compromised or informed a modicum of change?
Well, it wasn't in any way compromised, to the best of our knowledge. Nobody in August thought a protest would happen for 1 day, it took us of 10 days. Yes. And in that regard, for us, you know, we accept that as great progress, because we've moved Nigerian people from lethargy to action. And we know how difficult it is to move masses. I mean, when a lot of them have given up hope, or interest in the country. And this is how our situation is established, likely by, you see, mass migration, for instance. Everybody who is in the middle class in this country could live has left because they can't take it anymore here. But beyond that, for those 10 days, people were consistently fighting across the country. And for the first time in my lifetime, there was the unity of the oppressed across geography. North was typically the northern part of Nigeria would never fight for anything that is pan-Nigeria, except
so really volatile in that
except anything unity. They will even go and fight for Palestine and forget that. But they rose up in the north, and that shocked the whole country. And people fought across the country, in Port Harcourt, in Lagos, here in Ibadan. We had protests in Abuja. Even though police were actively shooting and killing people, they were fighting. This hasn't happened in a long time. As we speak, there are people who are arrested and detained that period. Some of them now released, some of them granted bail, and charged for treason. So look at all the encumbrances put in the way of the protesters, and yet they stood their ground for 10 days. In Yoruba land, our people deploy what they call Oro. Some hungry, jobless old men who were fighting for started walking barefoot and claiming that nobody should come up. Did they stop anybody? Did you see Oro the day the protest started? No, all of them disappeared. So these things sometimes painfully takes time. But our answer to that is that if protest is our own solution to our mass revolt, if we do one and it's not enough, we keep going. That was how apartheid ended in South Africa, through plenty of matches. That was how discrimination ended. Well, I won't say that ended in the US, but blacks kept fighting, including up to Black Lives Matter. So these are struggles that must be waged consistently until we win.
You talked about those that those that were detained.
Yes.
After the protest. I don't know what is happening to them. Can you give us an update about some of them?
Well, I was in court. I think on Friday, the day before yesterday in Abuja. But I also came to Abuja for my own court hearing too. Yeah. And we have been able to secure the bail of everyone in Abuja.
Okay.
I won't say everyone, because they still have some other people that they just arbitrarily granted detention orders of 90 days against them, or 60 days. Those ones have not even been brought to court, but those who are brought to court were they've been granted bail. But they were granted onerous bail conditions that have made it impossible for someone to leave prison. These are poor young activists. Some of them were not even, they didn't even participate in the protest. They just raided their neighborhoods and brought them. In Kano, I think they had over 900 people detained, including juveniles, but a sizable number of them has been released. And in Kaduna, the DSS detained over 13 guys. They've released 8 of them. One of them, his name is Engineer Khalil. I mean, we heard is missing from DSS detention. We are waiting for explanations for that. But everywhere they detain people, there are activities going on to get them released, including, and I must say this, surprisingly, the NBA is actively involved.
Okay.
Because the Nigerian Bar Association had been some, in my own view, very backward on issues of human rights. But this year, the new president has started on a good note, and he's been sending lawyers across the country to help. And even for the protests met for Tuesday, which is October, Fearless in October, they have assured that there will be lawyers on ground to assist with legal help if anybody gets into trouble.
So some of them that were detained now, I don't know, does the government have anything as a case against them? Because, you talked about
no case.
But in some parts of the country, we had people hoisting Russian flags and all
this. The hoisting of Russian flag is not a crime.
It's not a crime?
It's not. If you go to churches on this Sunday, you find the national flag of Israel. Is that a crime? Some of them are even praying to the God of Israel. It's on their altar. So the display of any paraphernalia in a country is not a crime. We have asked them to tell us what crime it is. We have also dissociated ourselves with the insinuation innuendo that is an attempt by military to take over. But what is fundamental about Nigeria's hosting the Russian flag that must be addressed is that they are saying that they no longer have faith in their own country because the country has failed.
So that's a cryptic message
to the leadership that look, we prefer Russia intervene here than continue with you guys. And I think that should have been the message leaders need to take home and pay attention to, as opposed to clamping down or going to arrest a tailor who doesn't even know the difference between the Russian flag or a Nigerian flag. Even the tailor they arrested said doesn't have a sewing machine. So you know how bizarre these things can be.
Well, let me quickly check the Facebook and see what we've got there. Is still a special interview with Omoyele Sowore in the studios of Adamimogo 105.1 FM. Saying you can join us on Facebook, Adamimogo 105.1 FM. Do well to share the post. You can also drop your comments or if you've got questions. Let me see some of the questions we have here. I believe Yele Sowore has already addressed some of these issues. Well, Engineer Amoni Buluaji says, well done, Akemaki, asking, can we have a credible election in Nigeria? Maybe we will react to that, but I believe you talked about that earlier. Well, Olawale Ismail, MC Vocal, says, good job, leader, sir. James, okay, good morning, sir. Well, Fortune General Marshall is saying, are your interest for Project Nigeria genuine? Or you are just waiting for an opportunity to cut from the cake? You address that. Maybe you still want to talk about that.
What is Project Nigeria? Is it not another slogan? the reason I say so is that it sometimes is the people who are looking for national cake with all these fake that will accuse you of national cake. Where's Nigeria's national cake? When I fought for democracy in the 90s, when the military was bribing people with cars, student union leaders, we rejected it and called them out. We went to jail. We got expelled from the university. I understand sometimes when people say this, some of them cannot believe that some of us have the opportunity, and the visibility that we have are not compromised. Because if they were in that position, they will cash out on it. I think that's what informs some of these very puerile positions sometimes. But there's also people who have genuine questions because they've seen so much. They've been let down by so many people that their own default position is to be doubtful of anybody's credibility and integrity.
I guess I'm very sorry for cutting in because they asked this question because some of the things that you talked about earlier, the likes of Carify me, others who are always
that's why I addressed that.
The grand opportunity, and there's this huge trust deficit.
I agree.
In the politics, Nigerians don't trust
but
anyone.
You see, how the Yorubas have this adage that says, So, if someone has history, he hasn't compromised, he has had opportunities and he hasn't misused it. I think we should trust them better than those who have. You can't just lump everybody together, because even the national cake they're talking about, I don't know if the national cake is still left.
Well, Prince Adilo is asking, our Hebrew leader, are we still protesting come October?
Yes.
Tuesday, right?
Yes, Tuesday. Please, we expect you guys to come out. And mass.
Okay, SOG or SOJ mass protest and revolution is the only solution to Nigeria problem. Election as it is now in Nigeria cannot give us liberation.
That's right.
So quickly, I want you to talk about the issues we are having within the oil sector. We must talk about that because that looks like, I don't know if you agree, you definitely will not agree. I know the leadership problem is the major problem in Nigeria, but the issue we've battled with the oil sector in past years, particularly from May 29, when the current president pronounced the subsidy is gone. It's been very tough for Nigerians. So what do you think is happening in that sector? Why is it difficult to get it right? Every time you listen to Dangote Refinery and NNPCL talks, it's like you get more confused about the situation.
Because it's a distraction.
Distraction.
Complete distraction. And it's very easy to understand. Let me just break it down to you.
Please go ahead.
The person has 4 refineries. He has a chance to fix them. He refuses to fix them. He then said to himself that privatization is fantastic. They call one of the guys who is in the private sector. By the way, there's no private sector in Nigeria, honestly.
There's no private sector in Nigeria.
The thing they call private sector is a private arrangement with people to funnel public money or assets and resources to help the private person. So, and then so they gave him all the opportunities. They even invested money from their own company in his private refinery. And then they announced that they are fixing 2 of the refineries. And they even announced a date that the refinery will take off. And then rewind, all of them flew, drove, walked, some crawled in 2022 or 2023 to commission a fake refinery. You get my point? The refinery wasn't produced, it wasn't completed. They went and commissioned it. And then gave a contract to fix their refinery. They said by September our refinery will start producing. In July or thereabout, the man who was building the refinery from Nigeria's money or privilege announces that his refinery is ready. The NNPC comes out and says, no, it is not ready. It's only 75% completed. So, but our own will be ready in September. September, the refinery they claim is not ready. They drove down there to supervise the loading of petrol to be sold to the public, in which the 2 of them surprisingly agreed that the price will be fixed by the person who doesn't have refinery. So they load 2 Sundays ago, I believe, and as I'm talking to you today, nobody has seen the petrol. I think it's still stuck on the 3rd Mainland Bridge. But most importantly, you say you like private sector. The private man builds a refinery. He said he wants to be selling at an amount. You said no, I will fix the price.
Fix the price.
The private man also comes out and says no, the price is different from. The private man doesn't tell you his price. The government doesn't tell you their price. That's why I'm telling you, it's all distraction. They are all in on the game. So another thing is, if Dangote got petrol, he doesn't need federal government to tell him how to sell it. One of the biggest retail petrol and gasoline station in Nigeria is called MRS.
Okay, yeah.
Ask MRS to be selling Dangote petrol. We'll go and buy there. If it's cheaper, all of us will kill there. So it is all done to confuse, because the agenda is to keep using that sector to cause poverty by corruption and manipulation. The NNPC is the most corrupt company probably in the world. It's the most opaquely run company in the world, because they don't want Nigerians to understand what is going on there. So at the end, all of this is meant to distract you from the promise they made that the Port Harcourt refinery will be completed and start distributing fuel by September. September. And if we are producing fuel locally, it's supposed to be cheaper. But since the refinery of Dangote came on stream, supposedly I have no evidence that refinery is producing them.
You have no evidence.
I have none. I've never bought a fuel that said
from
yes. But they claim that it's producing naphtha and all those things. So let's leave that aside. But between the time this refinery came on stream and now, the local price of gasoline has gone up.
Yeah.
Why so? If the refinery is local, and one of the things Dangote was crying for is that he wants to be buying, they should be supplying him crude. They have agreed to supply him crude in Naira.
Yeah.
So why are we still in this situation? Why is fuel then suddenly selling at 1,200 when supply is supposed to have improved, which would match demand and lead to stability of price? What's in economics called price equilibrium. Here is the opposite. Why do you think so? We'll come to my point. This is all distraction.
All distraction. Is there an end to this? Are we ever going to see an end?
When we are ready, we'll end it. We can end it on
when
October.
Nigerians are ready.
Yes.
And it will begin on October 1.
Yes.
Okay, well, Snowolua Sheung the Gold on Facebook says, I love Sowore very much, but a tree cannot make a forest. I think it's right time he works with genuine people. I don't know what he means by genuine people. And the AAC in your state are not doing enough in publicity and engagement. Well, I don't think I should be holding forth for the AAC in your state, but I think
I'm sure the chairman of AAC will come back here and debunk that.
But I think.
But they're doing the best in the circumstances that they found themselves.
I'm sorry, Snowoluwashi. I'm sorry, I'm the presenter here, but I'm talking about.
I don't think the AAC is against criticism. We are a party that is open to ideas, fresh people, and we accept that we could be doing better, and we will do better.
Okay.
But we are a revolutionary party, so we do way more than other parties are doing. Other parties are cyclical, they wait every 4 years for elections before they become active. You cannot believe that in a country of over 18 political parties, there's no party that is talking about the issues that are affecting Nigerians today, apart from AAC. Even in Ibadan here, it is AAC that is fighting for those who the poor peasants that their lands were taken over, and that the people whose houses are demolishing their houses. And you can't find PDP in that company. You can't find any other party, and I mean it. Even this whole August action that took place, it was AAC members and TIB members across the country that bailed the cat. So what do you think he actually means by genuine people? Well, you mean the people who want us to work with? No, he didn't make any suggestion, but AAC people are genuine people. And if he's genuine, he will be with us. But maybe the suggestions needs to just go beyond just genuine people. Because sometimes the people we call genuine are the people that we talked about earlier. And all these fake people who are packaged as genuine. And when we expose them, they get upset. But you're talking about us. We know we have a history with what we have an antenna called rubbish detector. So when people are still embracing some ideas, we already know where it is going to end.
So I will ask you once again about your party, because you just talked about you working with genuine people and the kind of people you work with. Yes, the AAC in your state have seen their imprints everywhere I've gone in the states, very vibrant opposition party. But don't you think that, I think you have not really transformed the party. The unionism, the student unionism thing is still at the fundamental, the foundation of the party. So around you have more of young people. Don't you have interest in working with other people who are more experienced in politics?
Well, what you describe as experience in Nigerian politics, experience is stealing.
Stealing?
Yeah, we don't value those kind of experience. No, we're looking for people who are passionate, who have vision, who are committed, who have focus, people who have complete commitment to liberating our country. So the people they describe as experienced people, look at what experienced people did to your country. Look at what experienced people did to your city. Look at your roads, look at your schools, look at your health system. That's what experienced people did to this country. The so-called experienced people.
I don't know what Prince Adebayo means by saying, is there any way we can end these heartless people on top? I don't know what it means by the end.
I kind of understand them. So we can if we're ready.
If we are ready.
Yes.
But do you think Nigerians are ready?
Well, it's debatable that they are not ready, considering that they did the unthinkable in August.
The unthinkable?
Yes, I was not part of, I was not in town during August. I was in the US because I just left after 5 years of being restricted to Nigeria. But I was pleasantly surprised at the national turnout and the courage displayed. And imagine in Kano, after the killings, the first day, second day, on a Saturday they came out again holding leaves and confronting. They weren't even confronting police, but they stood their ground and managed to do this protest for 10 days.
What do you have to say about states where protests did not hold? I know about Ekiti State.
States where protests did not hold, there are people who held protests in other places where they lived. The people from that state? Like the southeastern part of Nigeria did not hold protests in the southeast as a geographical space. But we had a lot of Southeasterners who participated in Abuja, who participated in Lagos, who participated even in Ibadan here. So that is. For the residents of that state, does it mean that they're not feeling what other Nigerians are feeling? Well, if you take the Southeast, for example, they have special circumstances that forced them into, and you can't even accuse them of them. The Southeasterners have been protesting every Monday. They close down their shops. They're the only ones doing it across Nigeria. Yeah. So maybe they just felt like, they have a specialized reason to be protesting, and they don't want that to be mixed with our kind of protest. But we saw solidarity from everywhere. Well, I want to say a very big thank you to you, Omoyele Sowore, prominent Nigerian politician, human rights activist. The politician parts of it makes me cringe. You are a presidential candidate in the last 2 elections. Yeah, I understand. I know what you're saying, but like Nigeria, if somebody calls you a politician, it's like the guy who borrows money who doesn't return it, like dishonest people. But I understand that my participation in partisan politics has made people to refer to me, without nomenclature. It just doesn't. It doesn't still sit down with me, because I know what they mean when they say you're a politician. Thank you very much. I've got a lot. So I could continue with this conversation for the next 2 hours, but I guess your people are saying there are other places to talk. Let's apologize that we couldn't show up yesterday because Nigeria happened to us. We were held up in traffic. We were supposed to be here. Where do you want to take AAC to? Because I still want to talk. I'm sorry. I still want to talk about, during the elections there were conversations around structures of party, and when I look around too, I want to ask that question. That do you think, because before a party will actually win a presidential election, you need to talk about the strength of the party across board. You will be surprised that AAC is grounded everywhere. And the easiest way to describe it to you is that a party or a movement that has the capacity to hold a national protest, mass action, which is more dangerous between a mass action across Nigeria and elections. Mass actions are more dangerous. People who are doing it, you can't claim they don't have nationwide structure. But the question which we will have to discuss at another event is, what is structure? Is it the transactional structures you call structure? The structures that are sprung up during an election because they are paid to pretend to be? Is it the gerrymanderers or the carpetbaggers that you call structure? People who will go to sleep as APC and wake up as PDP? Is that what you call structure? I think we can't afford to mix that up. We're building a revolutionary party, just like the ANC when the ANC was legit in South Africa. And these structures need resilience, and they are building their resilience, they are building their stamina, they're testing. And most importantly, the ANC is not the kind of party that you only see during elections. We're with you whether it is at night, daytime, we're mostly with you when it's most inconvenient for you, fighting on your side. And that strength you will not experience until we clear the audience table. That's the problem.
Well, I want to say a very big thank you to you once again on behalf of everyone here at Adamimogo 105.1 FM. Adamimogo, Nigeria is actually in Lagos. I know you featured there.
Yes.
Twice. We're in Ekiti State.
There's one woman in Lagos.
Yes. Thank you very much. We hope to get to hear from you some other time.
Absolutely.
Maybe we'll have a more robust conversation.
Keep us putting the message out there for people to come out en masse on October 1.
October 1, so it's happening. October 1.
We may be able to have a different conversation on October 2nd. Yes.
We may be having
fundamentally deeper
conversation
on October 2nd.
So what do you call this particular protest? Is it still end bad governance?
It's end bad governance will start fearless in October.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate everyone on the entourage of Mr. Omoyele Sowore, particularly the chairman of AAC here in Oyo State, Comrade Kayode Baba. Yes, so we appreciate you. I don't get to know the names of others. I'm sorry about that. Sincere apologies.
They will send in their names.
Sincere apologies. Sincere apologies.
And they will also send in their request for music.
Their request for music?
Mine is Fela.
Oh, that's great, of course.
My favorite track is Look and Laugh. Luko and the Laughful.
Thank you very much. That's the show for sincere apologies to our newspaper. Taking part of your time, we've eaten into your time, and immediately after now, you'll get to hear a Global Box